The show begins with a well-dressed man entering into a cartel building holding a gun and a stick. The man gets surrounded by dozens of gang who attempted to kill him with their gun, but in lightning speed, he kills them one by one. His fighting skills was too strategic, that he uses the enemy weapon against them. He can even kill 5 people with his gun in seconds. We suddenly hear a narration that tells us about the well-dressed man. He is said to be one of the greatest hitman of all time, and his name is Taro Sakamoto. His prowess was unmatched, all evil men feared him, and all hitmen revered him. But one day, when Taro went to get something at the mall, he sees a girl and falls in love with her at first sight. Because of the girl, he retired from being a hitman, got married to the girl, had a baby, and after few years of being a father, Taro got fat. He really grew out of shape. Taro runs a store with his wife which they use to earn a living. We see a boy called Shin standing in front of the mall, and says, "Mr. Taro, I found you." Inside his store, a kid draws on his glass, and asks Taro if he's going to get a free juice if he hits the bullseye. Just as the boy keeps trying after missing so many times, his bag opens, and a black ink comes out from it, and slashes on a customer who just entered the shop. The customer gets so angry about this, and grabs the kid to punch him, but Taro stops the impending punch of the man, and stabs his throat with a pencil. It turns out all these was just Taro imagination. He is retired from being a hitman, but being a hitman hasn't retired from him. Taro had politely apologized to the customer who calms down and leaves. Shin is impressed because he actually saw what Taro was thinking, ballpoint pen to the carotid artery. He tells Taro that it's been a while, and introduces himself as Shin the clairvoyant. He is a hitman that can read minds. Shin reads Taro's mind again and sees his head being smashed to a wall, so he gets furious on how killing him was the first thought that got to his head. They later go outside to eat and we find out that Taro and Shin used to be partners, they both belong to a hitman group. Shin begs Taro to rejoin their League of Assassin group, because he's wasting his talents just running a convenience store. Taro tells Shin his mind is made up, he doesn't want to be a hitman again. Shin reminded him that back in the day, the worst of the worst feared him. They called him the legendary assassin, but now he's just a fat old man. Shin brings out his smoke and just as he's about to light it, Taro cuts it into 2 in seconds, and shows him the warning sign, that no smoking is allowed at his store. Just as he tries to convince Taro again, a man riding a bicycle interrupts him, and begs Taro to help him with something. In Shin's mind, he feels the man could be a disguised person, who wants Taro to kill somebody, but he gets disappointed after seeing the man just needs Taro help, in plugging some fruits from his tree, and he is also seen solving people's problems. Shin gets so angry that Taro, who was once a deadly assassin, is now a handyman for the whole town. Shin is unhappy that the new Taro is just a big fat joke, and just as he heads straight back to his car, he gets a call from the boss, who asks him if he successfully managed to convince Taro. Since Taro had refused to return, the boss reminds Shin of the rules, that anyone who leaves the organization without asking must be killed. He threatens Shin that he should kill Taro, or he will add him to the target list as well. Shin realizes he doesn't have a choice in this situation, he has to kill Taro, his old partner, or he will be killed. After having a nice bath and eating his favorite meal, he lies down and thinks of the glory days when he used to work with Taro. Shin feels that even if he changes his mind not to kill Taro, someone else will be sent to kill him, so if it has to be done, it should be done by him. He returns back to Taro's shop with a silencer on his hand to kill Taro. Just as Shin enters the shop, he tries to send a bullet to Taro's brain, but Taro throws out a candy from his mouth which sends the bullet to a different direction. In matter of seconds, Shin doesn't see Taro again, and realizes he's screwed. While he looks for Taro in the store, he becomes more tensed up because he can't read Taro's mind due to he's hiding it. Taro comes out and throws a custard filling on his face, and then lands a powerful kick on that same face. As Shin falls unconscious, he realizes that even though Taro is fat and old, the young deadly assassin still lives in him. Shin wakes up from unconsciousness, and Taro's wife and kid are so happy that he's awake. Taro invite him for dinner, but Shin is confused because Taro knows of his mission but still spared his life? Now he's inviting him for dinner? Or could the food be poisoned? A lot was just running through his mind. Just as Shin tasted the food, it turns out to be the most delicious meal he has ever tasted. Shin suddenly began to realize a lot, like why Taro decided to quit from being a hitman, which is because he wanted a humdrum everyday life. Shin thanks Taro for the meal, and Taro, who doesn't talk much, tells Shin that he is welcomed at his house anytime. As Shin walks away, he says that he should have known, he is no match for Taro. Shin goes back to his boss and begs him to let Taro live. The boss asks him why he is covering up for him, and in Shin's reply, Taro means something to people, and he has found a home in this town. But the boss tells him that nothing can stop him from killing Taro, because he threw away his responsibilities and broke the rules of their gang. Shin tells the boss that if it's about responsibility, then he wants to die in Taro's place, he just wants Taro to be left alone. The boss agrees to spare Taro if Shin kills himself. But in the boss' mind, even though Shin kills himself, he will still kill Taro. But they actually forgot that Shin can read minds, and he heard everything the boss said in his mind. The boss commands his men to kill Shin. The men found it really hard to kill Shin, because due to his mind-reading abilities, he could tell their next moves. The boss tells his men not to get too close to Shin so he won't read their minds. On the other hand, Taro presses a red button in his store, and his store suddenly transformed to a place surrounded with all kinds of weapons. According to the boss' suggestion, their plan works, as they had Shin on gunpoint, but fortunately, Taro shows up and attacks the men. Against heavy guns and samurai blades, Taro uses an ordinary chopstick to fight the men. With a lightning speed, Taro kills both the boss and his men with just one strike, while Shin is left stunned. Shin asks Taro how he was able to find him, only to realize that Taro placed a tracker on his gun. Shin tells Taro that he doesn't have to worry about him anymore, he already made up his mind and he's leaving town, but Taro throws an apron to him, and tells him that he will get 800 yen per hour if he work overtime at his store with him. Shin is frustrated with the work at first, but suddenly began to adapt. After they were done making a lot of sales for the day, Shin tells Taro that even though he is retired, he's still the best when it comes to combat. He almost killed all the men with a single blow. Taro's wife, who is busy mobbing, hears what Shin was saying and asks Taro if he is going back being a hitman again. His wife flares up and tells him that she is going to file a divorce if he breaks the family rule. In Taro's mind, he is seeing stabbing Shin on the neck for not keeping his mouth shut, leaving Shin, who clearly read minds, to complain that he should stop killing him in his mind. He takes Shin really far away from the shop, to a huge market area called Nikita Chinatown. Taro brought Shin all the way to this place to buy a very expensive heavenly pork buns, which he intends to use to appease his wife for breaking the family rules. Just as they head back to the store, a girl bursts out from a 4-story building and lands on Taro, ruining the heavenly pork he bought for his family. It appears the girl is being chased by some men wearing a suit, but we don't know why. While Taro thinks on how upset his family is going to be, Shin sees the girl defending herself from the men, and she's using a combat skill called Tai Chi. The strongest amongst the men holds the girl from the back, capturing her. The men try to firstly cut off the girl's legs so she won't be able to run, but Taro and Shin defends the girl and assist her in beating the men to unconsciousness. More men shows up to attack them, but Shin and Taro runs away, carrying the girl on his back. The chase continued, but eventually, the men got tired and stopped. The men in suits report back to their boss on how they failed to capture the girl, because of the 2 men that helped her. The boss grows angry. He killed her entire clan tracking her down, and if she disappears, everything they have sacrificed to get her will all be for nothing. Since his men are damn useless, the boss calls in 2 dangerous psychotic assassin brothers called Bacho and Sun Hee. We find out that what the boss needs from the girl is the key in her possession. Once he has that key, he will be able to rule all of the black market. While escaping, Shin and Taro finds out the girl is the daughter of a mafia family, and not just any mafia family, but the Liu clan. The girl shows them the key, which is the reason they are after her. It's the key to her clan's hidden vault, entrusted to her by her parents. Shin advises that she should let them have the key because it's not worth her life, but the girl hesitantly refuses, because her dad and mom died protecting the key. We find out that the girl's name is Xiao Tang. A flashback is shown, where her clan was being attacked by an enemy clan. Xiao Tang mom hangs the key on her neck, and while her father holds the enemy off, he clears a route for her to escape. Xiao Tang tells Shin and Taro that if she lets those guys get the key, then how will she be able to face her parents in heaven? She apologizes for getting them involved in her own problem and tries to leave, but Taro stops her. He asks her if she knows how to make an authentic pork bun. Xiao Tang replies with a yes, saying her dad taught her the basics. Shin tells Taro not to get involved in the girl's matter because he has a bad feeling about her, but Taro instead instructs him to cancel today's shop trip, because he intends on protecting the girl. Taro makes a deal with her to teach him how to make pork bun, after he is done protecting her from the men after her. Before they could realize anything, one of the psychotic assassin brothers lands a fatal kick on Taro, sending him flying to a nearby building. Xiao Tang explains to Shin that Bacho and Sun Hee are twin hitmen who charge an absurd amount of money but never miss their target. The twins are serial killers that find joy in slaughtering people, and they make sketches of their victims' heads as a hobby. Shin attacked them, but his blow gets caught as if it was nothing. The brothers actually thought they have killed his friend, but Shin calls them dumb because only an amateur hitman wouldn't know Taro Sakamoto. Taro suddenly attacks one of the brothers. The attack was really powerful that the brother fell through the roof of the building. Xiao Tang is shocked seeing this, and asks Taro why he is risking his life to protect her. We suddenly see a flashback, where younger Taro was presenting a gift to his wife with bloodstains on his hands. His wife is not happy when she discovered about his work of being a hitman, but he tells her that without his work, buying this present for her wouldn't have been possible. His wife tells him that if he can't change his way, then they can't be together. She tries to commit suicide, but Taro saves her. Due to this, Taro's wife made him promise not to kill anyone again. That's their rule, but he should instead make up for all the people he has killed, by spending his life saving people instead. Back to the present, the twin assassin brothers attacks Taro, but his fighting skills was way too good. The brothers then try to use their most deadly fighting technique called the cast iron, but they are shocked as Taro dodged all the attacks. Taro destroys their weapons, and uses a refrigerator to knock them out. Taro and Shin ties up the brothers, and brings them to the gang boss that sent them. According to Taro, who must not break his wife rules by killing anyone again, Xiao Tang decided to punch the gang boss repeatedly, until his face was in a mess, to avenge her parents' death. She uses the key to open her family's safe, where they see a whole collection of books, CDs, armories, and lots of gold being stored there. Xiao Tang also sees the best alcohol on earth which her father left for her to drink when she's off age. She tells them to have some as a form of gratitude for helping her. Xiao Tang decides to join them working in the store to make pork buns. Taro tells Shin that from now on, he will now be part of their family, which means, he must follow the rules of not killing anyone. The scene changes to show us a round table discussion, where a huge sum of bounty is placed on whoever kills Taro, and that was how the episode ended. Thank you for watching, guys. If you don't want to miss out on the next episode, please subscribe to this channel and keep watching. Bye.